Teddy Baldessar here, and today we have Casey Neistat with us, and the discussion is watches, which I am so excited about because I was somebody that followed your channel. It was one of the reasons why I started my YouTube channel. I had a Canon 70D, I had a GorillaPod, I was in it, and then we reached out to you to say, hey, are you interested in watches? I've always seen watches on your wrist, and you were down. And I was so excited about that. So Casey Neistat, a watch collector. What is the philosophy? Tell us a little bit more about that, and what made you want to do this?
Well, I love people that find a lane and then go as hard down that lane as possible. Like a generalist, I don't relate much to, but someone who has like sort of a specific niche that is their obsession, I identify with that so much. I don't have the passion for watches that you do, but I respect the passion and I love it. And I think about watches enough that like to have this, I think when I emailed you back, I was like, yeah, but I'm not much of a watch guy, but I'm big on watch philosophy. I'm not big on watch actual collecting, but let's get into it.
What do you mean by philosophy? Like maybe specify what you mean by that.
My wife is a jeweler, it's what she does. And I have a deep appreciation for the craftsmanship that is jewelry. I have no appreciation for wearing it because it serves no function other than fashion or maybe express something. Like there's no utility to jewelry. I had a wedding ring, a wedding band, is that what it's called for men? Mm-hmm. I had a wedding band. I think it was my wife's grandfather's from World War II. I wore it for about 9 hours after our wedding until I lost it. My wife found it and she was like, you're never getting this back. My wife made me like the most amazing necklace ever, but when I would do push-ups, as I would get close to the ground, it would tink on the floor and it'd make me crazy. So I took it off. I don't know where it is, but like, you know, it gets in my way. And this is why like jewelry, I've never found a place in my life for jewelry. This is my bracelet because one of my ambitions in life is to never have to carry keys, a phone, or wallets. I've gotten rid of a wallet completely. I have no keys in my life, but my building requires a fob.
That's it.
So this is pure utility. Mm-hmm. And even this is a little bit annoying. But I think watches, because they serve such a specific utility, one that I can't live without. I'm not willing to take my phone out to check the time. I need to know at all times. That's where my passion for watches come from. It is this like, where utility meets faction and where function meets form. Like I love that sort of the thinking behind that. And that's what I'm excited to talk about, because I don't know a whole lot about watches.
One thing I've always liked about your content was, and this happens a lot with people that are into like production, video production, where they get obsessed with the gear and not actually like creating. And I think one thing that I always took away from your content is it's always important to use the things that you have. And I think this concept of utility, like with watches, I can see that parallel here. And it makes sense that you've really gained a lot of affinity with a G-Shock, right? I mean, like this was the watch. If we're just gonna start to talk about some of the watches that you've decided to own, I feel like this is the one you have to start with. Like, why do you have, I mean, this is a 5600 case. I remember seeing when you have that intimate zoom in always on your vlogs, you'd always see this thing just floating with the white case, the white band. Like, what's your connection to this? Because this thing is probably seen so much.
Yeah, you know, I'm a big fan of the sort of the lineage, the history of Casio and G-Shock. I love like the story of how the original G-Shock was made and like the bouncing ball and what would a watch look like that could handle that kind of abuse. I also love the fact that these are 50 or 60 bucks. So like I get excited about them. And if someone were to see that, like in one of my YouTube videos, this is accessible, they could go be a part of that. So it's a confluence of all of those factors. But I think, you know, in the last 10, 15 years of my life, like I've reached a level of like, you know, financial security where like I can buy fancy shit for the first time in my life. And I have some fancy watches. My father-in-law bought me a Rolex for my wedding present. And I loved it. It's the first time I ever owned something that fancy that fit on my wrist. But after wearing it for a couple of weeks, it started to get in the way. Like it started, I couldn't see what time it is at night.
You shattered the crystal on that one too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, that's what I meant by getting in the way. I was gonna be nice by just making it about the fact that at night, like it didn't have indiglow, so I couldn't tell what time. And I broke the crystal like, you know, a month after it happened. It just didn't work in my life. And no matter what I would get, because I have a few watches, I would always come back to this. And I think, I don't know what it is about the white one versus the black one. I like things that are old. I like clothing that's beaten up because I see that on someone and I'm like, oh, that's a loved piece of clothing. I like cars that are worked. So it's like, oh, that person uses it. I have like a big 4x4, and when I see somebody with a pristine 4x4, I'm like, what do you use that thing to go to the supermarket? Get a minivan. I like to know that people use things for their intended purpose. And something about the way the white one patinas in particular, it's not why I bought it, but it's why I like it more with time. Like the shiny whiteness of this is almost gone. Has all this like gross yellowing on it, and I love that.
There's a concept in watches I always talk about. I mean, I was speaking with some of like people on our team and collectors, and we always talk about this idea. Why I like it is like quality wears in where lack of quality wears out, right? Like that idea where if you have something that's well constructed and you're able to showcase like it's well loved, it shows an extension of you. And because I think if you just fantasize about objects all day and don't use them, I hate the idea if someone buys a watch, just puts it in their safe. Like that's something that I just can't connect with. So when I see something like this, I get excited. Even the expensive watches I own, like people get mad at me because I say I don't really care about scratches, but people think that's like insane. But I think that is part of my story. Like that's where I can show that that's something that I decided to own and it's mine and it's transcending just as an object and it becomes like a part of me in a way.
Yeah, it's like owning a Ferrari and not driving it really fast.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? And then I also like maybe a more cynical version of that is like, you can buy nice things, but you can't buy style. And I think style is something that's earned. And certainly my style is highly debatable. My wife would push back aggressively. But the fact that this, like I have that story behind this plastic $50 Amazon watch, this means more to me than a fancy watch that I might walk into a store and mortgage the house to get.
When you look at that watch, like, were there some moments that you think of like immediately when you look down at that watch? Is there like a scratch that you can like remember it, like something like that?
No, but as we were coming here today, I was trying to think of like if I could pinpoint when I got this watch, and the fact that I couldn't meant something to me. Like I think this will be our 12th wedding anniversary this year, which means I got that Rolex 12 years ago. I had this for years before I got that. Like when I took this off to put the Rolex on, I had this for years before that. So I think just knowing that it's been stuck to my wrist for so long is sort of the sentimental aspect. But make no mistake, if I were to lose this today, I would just order the same one off of Amazon, have it tomorrow, put it on and never look back. And I think that like how unprecious this is one of the things that really gets me excited about it.
What else have you brought? Because I don't even know what you brought. You have a backpack?
Okay, so I have, my watches typically exist in my underwear drawer in a pile.
Okay.
And for Father's Day last year, my daughters got this watch case for me that I'm sure was like $50 off of Amazon. They were very excited about it because they got my name printed on it, Casey.
Oh, nice.
So like, I'm sure there's fancy watch boxes. There are, right?
Yeah, there are.
This is
okay,
not,
they can get crazy.
This is not one of them, but it says my name on it, and my little girls gave it to me. So I love this. It's filled up with plastic watches, and then there's some fancy watches in here too. Should we?
Let's do it, yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it. Show me what you got.
Should we start high or start low?
Wherever you feel.
I'll start at the apex.
Okay, all right, so we're going the complete opposite direction with this.
Okay, so I bought this watch with my own money, and something about a yellow Rolex. I didn't know the term yellow Rolex until later in life. When I was a kid, the way it was talked about is the solid gold Rolex. And you know, I grew up in like a lower middle class neighborhood. I'd never seen something like this, but I couldn't think of a more like really just like ostentatious way of screaming to the world that like I'm that rich guy than this watch. It was the most annoying, obnoxious, in your face, fuck you ever. And when I sold my software development company, I think it was in 2016, 2017, the first thing I did was buy this watch. Because
Why did you jump to this? Like, what was the reason for that?
Solely because it was that. Like, I wanted something to memorialize that, like, I'd achieved whatever that is.
Really just to mark the moment.
Yeah. And I also, like, I bought this with sort of a disillusion that I would wear it the same way I wore my G-Shock. And the story of why I almost never wear this watch now is because I'm so irresponsible with my own gear that I was surfing in the ocean. I forgot that this was on, didn't leave it in my car. and I was sitting on my board like this, and I felt this happen, like
Oh no.
slide down,
Oh,
and I caught it on my hand. And I looked down and I was like, shit, I still have the Rolex on. And it was like I almost dropped like a Honda Accord to the bottom of the ocean. And that was kind of probably the last time I ever
fully souped up
wore it.
Honda Accord too.
But this is like, this lives in my closet. And I like that I own this. I like that I know that when the apocalypse comes, that I'll be able to trade this for a sandwich because it's made out of gold. You know, like this has like a fungible level of value to it. I like how heavy it is. More specifically, this is like a 1990.
Yeah, this is like a 5-digit Submariner reference. So this is where you're going back to pre-ceramic bezels. So probably that era in which you were like looking at people's wrists and you saw this like flex watch.
So
it's almost like directly plucked from that.
Yeah, there's no intent there.
Yeah.
It's just when I saw the new one, this part of the watch, what's this called? Like
What's that, the lug? Or the crown guard, the crown guard.
It was, on the new ones, it's boxy.
Yes.
And in my opinion, inelegant. Mm-hmm. And I thought there was something really beautiful about this. When I saw the new one, I was like, that's not it. And then I like looked it up and I was like, okay, I have to get that older one.
Yep.
And the other thing is like, I very much so object to ever having this polished.
All those scratches, are those your doing?
Oh, yeah.
Those are your
This
doing.
is a shiny
I mean, that's
to
one
be
of the
like
most
that.
scratched up all gold bracelets I've ever seen.
I also
So
cracked
congrats to that.
I cracked the pearl.
Oh, okay, all right.
that
At
what's
least,
called?
yes, but I'm surprised it's even there. A lot of times that you'll find with some of these era Submariners is the pearl's just completely gone because it can just pop out.
Well, I'm glad mine's still there. But I love this thing, but it just sits in my closet.
G-Shock is always the one that gets.
I come back to the G-Shock. So the other fancy watches I have is like, this is the Rolex that my father-in-law got for me for my wedding.
And at that time, you didn't have like, what was like the nicest watch that you had? It was that. Like that was really all you had at that point.
Yeah.
And I remember you had like when you got that watch, I think you made a video about it, right? Back in the day, I remember
I was
watching
really excited about it. And, you know, he did ask me, my father-in-law asked me, he was like, you know, I want to get this for you. What do you want? And I just said, like, I want the most plain one they make. And I didn't know what that was, but I was like, I want the most plain one they make. And if they have the face in white, get the face in white. So it's just a super plain date chest. And the reason why I put it on this like very patriotic NATO band is because the steel bracelet, which I'm sure I lost, it would just bounce too much. And by having it on a NATO band, it fits really comfortably on my hand. I can run with this, I can fight with this, like it's a good watch. But I've shattered the crystal on it. I've broken
How'd you shatter it, by the way?
Fell off my skateboard.
Yeah.
And like now that the
It's
timing,
Still, I mean, you haven't given up.
no, the skateboard still works, the watch doesn't. What's the movement is what that's called? Like the movement on this is off.
Probably from in terms of like, how much is it off? It could be either magnetism.
Like at the end of every day, it's like 20 minutes off.
Yeah, so it's probably either a really bad shock of you dropping it,
Oh,
or
yeah.
it could be magnetized because you're probably around all the different. I don't know what you do in your studio, but I would
You'd be
imagine it
shocked.
could be like you need a degausser to get that all handled.
So this needs some servicing, but I do like this, and I like wearing this one because to me this one is sort of closer to wearability to this than the yellow heavy.
It's funny too because this is the 116-200 series. So this one has like the dome bezel. It doesn't have like a lot of the characteristics people think of date just like Jubilee bracelet, fluted bezel. Like this is pretty much the most like.
I wanted the most plain.
And that's what you have with this.
Yeah, and I like that. I like this watch. I definitely like this one more than the yellow one.
You're okay with it not being able to tell the right time? Yeah.
But if I could get it fixed that required me doing nothing, I would do that.
I can help you out with that. We can get
the
that.
crystal was fixed because my wife found out about it, and she was like, you can't let my dad see that. And then she handled it. Because this has never needed repair. Ever.
That's the perks.
Okay, so we'll keep going down the fancy watches.
Let's do it. Do you want to switch it up? Do you want to go to something else, or do you want to go fancy still? It's whatever draws your attention.
Okay, I should have looked up the name of this.
The Frogman.
It is the Frogman, but this is a special edition Frogman. Hold on, the name is written on here. I know I should. The name's written on here. I like that you don't know this, by the way.
Yeah, no, I don't.
This is a special edition Frogman that I don't know the name of. But this was expensive. This was like, I don't know.
Probably $1,500,
Yeah,
maybe?
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And it was a super limited edition. And it has all this gadgetry and all this weirdness in it. And I love this watch. My wife makes fun of me. She's like, it looks like it came out of a gumball machine. Which it does. As, by the way, I'm doing it. You can hear sand still in the bracelet. But I love this watch. I think this is the coolest thing ever. And I like that it looks like it came out of a gumball machine.
What attracts you to, I mean, this is an odd looking watch. Like, and just like objectively, like what draws you to something like this?
I think of how extra it is. I like the fact that it looks like a toy on my wrist. Like, it is so fantastical with all these colors. This watch was designed after a lizard that lives in Borneo. I wish I could remember the name of the lizard. That's the name of this specific watch. And I just love everything about it. Like, I think it's the coolest thing ever. Like, it looks like it's just a bunch of silly, really bright colors, but there's like real meaning behind that. And like this crown, is it called the crown? What's this part?
So this will be the crown. This will be the bezel. I mean, this is basically has like an attached bumper to the side of the case.
Yeah.
Which is not something you typically are going to see on most watches.
And like, but this what's it called when it's multiple colors like that?
Like iridescent and
yeah,
translucent.
the iridescence of this isn't paint. Like, they did that through a metallic process. But I like how like secretly amazing this device is. And then at a glance, it just looks like it came out of a gumball machine. And then my friend, a brilliant filmmaker named Peter McKinnon.
Yeah, I know
who's
Peter.
a big watch guy.
I've seen him wearing some watch. I saw him wearing like a No Time to Die once. Like he's in it.
He's in it, and he has such a cool collection. But I sent him this when I got a picture of it, and then he sent me a picture back, and he got the same one. And I was like, yes, I'm not alone. And then
that was without you guys communicating with one another. You just
I don't know the specifics there.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, we both landed with the same ridiculous watch. And then like a few months later, he bought me as a present, because he's a lovely human being and a wonderful friend, this, which is another special edition version of the Frogman. I don't know what this look is made after, but it's just as absurd. And
maybe more. They're in the same ballpark.
And I love it for all the same reasons. This is among my favorite watches. So that's a G-Shock. And the reason why I bought this G-Shock is because they made this, I think, in the early 2000s. And this watch specifically was made for Maine, the state of Maine, Maine fishermen. My mother was born in Maine, and like Maine fishermen, like I have some relationship to that. But I saw the commercial, which was like a 6-minute documentary about these Maine fishermen talking about how this watch, purpose-built for them, was such an amazing, and I was like, I have to have that. And it was not easy to find. And that watch cost low hundreds of dollars, but I found it, and I love the way this watch looks. Like, I love everything about that. I specifically love that story behind it.
And you're like not affiliated with like one size too. Like you're all over the map.
Yeah, well, there's, like the trouble with these watches, these enormous G-Shocks, is that I either hurt my wife or I hurt myself, or sometimes my kids when I wear them. Like if I'm asleep, my wife, my arm's underneath her, like this will require a hospital visit to get that arm out from underneath her. So I kind of gave up on that. This one sort of is like the perfect medium.
I have to ask a question next. So this watch over here, I'm shocked that you have a Doxa and you have a Sea Rambler Doxa sub. How did you come about getting this? This seems so random compared to the other things that you have, but I love that you own a Doxa.
Okay, so Doxas, I just have such an affinity for the story of like what a Doxa is, one, how distinct it looks. But like Doxa is a company from like the 1890s, something like that. And their claim to fame back then was they built the clocks that would go really, like the first generation of automobiles. They designed like a technology where their clocks would remain accurate for like a week or something, which was unheard of back then. And in the first Bugatti race cars, like 1910-ish, these really early race cars, they all had Doxa clocks in them. And then this one in particular, like there was a number of dive watches in the 30s, 40s, 50s. But when Doxa made this, I think it was like late 60s.
Yep, 60s, yep, 67.
This was the first purpose-built dive watch that was accessible to the masses. And Cousteau was so into this watch that he brought it to the United States. Like before Cousteau, this was not a US watch, and because of him, it came here. And I love that story. And then the new ones I think are great, but they don't turn me on the way these, like this is just a solid block of heavy metal. Like this is like a weapon.
They were pioneers of the dive watch. And you mentioned Cousteau, like that little aqua lung little symbol right there. I mean, that was his brand in the United States, and when he was importing dive material and equipment, like that's what they were doing it under that, and that's just the marking of that connection to Cousteau. And his aquanauts, they love Doxa. They actually co-designed some of the elements of Doxa cases and what's being presented. They were a pioneer of the helium escape valve. When scuba was really taking off, I mean, these were really tools, and you would get these in dive shops. Like, they weren't watches; they were tools.
Correct.
They were tools.
So the whole narrative I love, and I was like really into that story. And I talked to a friend of mine who's a bit of a watch aficionado, and I was like, I'm thinking about violating one of my rules, which is buying a vintage watch. And I was like, but I don't know that I can handle like custody of this watch because I'll break it. And he's like, dude, the thing about Doxas is that they are bomb-proof. So my wife got me this for my birthday a couple of years ago.
That's awesome.
And this is like mid 70s, I think, maybe late 70s. And I immediately broke it. I don't know what I did, but the
running?
The movement's completely off. Like hours, in any 24-hour cycle, it's off.
Did you drop
hours.
it?
Probably.
Yeah.
And again, it needs servicing. But
It looks sweet.
it's like one of the things that I own because I like to own it and look at it. I should get it fixed and
but
made
here's the-
robust and resealed and all that.
I've seen
But
you
then I just
wear
put the
these though.
plastic-
I've like in videos, like you.
I love that watch.
Yeah.
I wore it until whatever destruction I did to it made it no longer tell the correct time.
We need to get you in touch with a watchmaker. After this, we're gonna get you in touch with a watchmaker.
I need
How
a
about that?
full-time watchmaker on my employee to maintain my watches. And then this one's really, really cool. Do you know these guys, Maurice de Mauriac?
I don't know them. No.
Okay, so these are Swiss watch company, young company, really young company, and they make, they make really amazing watches out of Geneva, and just I love their design mentality. And this thing is bomb-proof, it's invincible, and it has this face on it that you can sort of select which city you're in, and
It's world timer. Yeah. It's cool.
it's just a brilliant watch. And what I specifically love about this is that the crystal is red, and it's not a coloring, it's actual red crystal that they use to make it. And yeah, this is like, I bought this because I just like, there's something about the toughness.
How did you discover this brand? Because
I-
this is like, now you're going like some deeper cuts.
Yeah, this is like-
you're all over the map.
This
Like,
is
what
really,
catches
really
your
niche.
eye?
So some friends of mine made a movie called Project Power. And I'm in the movie. And Jamie Foxx beats me up in the movie.
Okay.
Like proper beats me up. Funny side, like a little parenthetical to that, is in the rehearsal for the action scene, I worked with his stunt double the whole time, doing it over and over and over. And then Jamie came in and was like, I don't need to run it, I got it locked in. And then he went to hit me, and he accidentally did hit me, and he busted my, it wasn't that bad, but I got a pretty good black eye from Jamie in the
That's
scene.
a good story to tell, though. Come
Great
on.
story.
I got a black eye from Jamie
Wasn't
Foxx.
his fault. It was, but that was the watch that his character wore in the movie.
Okay.
And I talked to my friends, and I was like, what? And they like, it was a deliberate choice for them to have put that on his watch as the hero of the movie. And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, it's a real watch. Like, that's an amazing watch. And I looked up the company, young guys that own it and run it and operate it, and they do some really, really brilliant designs. But I just think like this watch encapsulates everything that I like about, the engineering, the craftsmanship, the precision of watchmaking, but it is a modern watch. And I just love everything about that. Everything about that watch I love.
What about these two? So these are the GA2100 series. So this is what people will call it the Cassiope is the nickname for these. And you have two of them.
Yeah, I just, again, a $100 watch that I just think is so cool. And like, I loved it when they came out the clear one. And then as it started to turn yellow, it made me like it more.
Of course, this one's not running.
And then, I don't wear these. But like, then this one, like, everybody loves 80s vintage, but everybody ignores 90s vintage. I happen to be 90s vintage. My human being is 90s vintage. So the fact they did one that was like a 90s vintage Saved by the Bell colorway.
It does have a little bit of that vibe for sure.
I was just like, I have to have that. And again, this is like a one click off of Amazon and it shows up the next day. I think I wore this 3 times, and I wore this the day I got it and then never wore it again.
You wore it in a video though.
Yeah. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I don't think I've ever worn it again. But I like that I own this. I think it's a cool. This is in the category of watches that if I was with a friend who was like, I love that, I would just immediately give it to them. Because whatever they see in it was what I saw in it, and I have no sort of attachment to it, but I like that I own this.
When you own a watch, I mean, you mentioned you don't really have attachment to it. Like, what's the thought process around that? Like, when you're seeing like a watch, you see it as like almost as a way of like passing off like any feelings that you have to someone else. Is like almost just like a gift. You see like a gifting philosophy around it. Like, what's the thought around that?
Yeah, like if it means something special to me, like I wouldn't give away this watch because I earned the patina. Can't have that. And like my wife got me those watches. I wouldn't give those away. And this one is so important to me. I wouldn't give that away. But the rest of these, like especially when you like really inexpensive watches, like this watch was expensive, and this has no greater meaning to me than this watch. The only reluctance I would have in giving this away is because it's so expensive.
Valid, makes sense.
Valid, but like beyond that, it doesn't. These plastic watches hold, like they mean as much to me, and my life benefits from them as much, maybe more than the fancy watches. So like for $60, if I can give that away, like totally give that away. I have a mountain of G-Shocks in my office.
So this is just scratching the surface, right?
Yeah, because I was late coming today and I didn't get a chance to go to my office. My bad.
We need to get a watchmaker for Casey, because that's why he was late today.
That's why
None
I
of
was
his
late
watches
today.
are on time. We need to figure this out.
But I was gonna go to my studio to get all of them, because what I don't have here is like the original Iron Man, Timex Iron Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think Hodinkee, they re-released the original Iron Man a year or two ago, and I bought a whole bunch of them. But then I went back and I realized like it's not the exact first Iron Man, so I went and bought one for like $90, like the original. And I love that. But
That seems very you. That's a very Casey
the
watch.
wife says it's not big enough for my wrist. I don't wear that. But I love that watch, and I love that watch because when I was a little kid and Bill Clinton was the president, that was the watch that he wore.
That's right. That's right.
And it was kind of a big deal that the president was wearing this like kind of crappy plastic watch. And I always liked that. So I have a whole bunch of those. I have so many of those that when someone comes by and they mention it, I give it to them, because that's why I have a bunch of them. Like that's a nice present to give to somebody.
And you have two other watches here we haven't talked about. You want to talk about those as well?
Yeah, which ones did we not? So like this is
These two.
This is a running watch, and like
Because you like run marathons like all the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
And I brought this here because I think like the Apple Watch, I think, is an incredible piece of technology. I love what they've done with the Apple Watch. I personally don't rock it because I just want the thing on my wrist to tell me the time and do nothing else. But I love the Apple Watch. But aesthetically, not my cup of tea. I think, to quote my wife, she said that the Apple Watch is the sweatpants of watches. She said if I were to get married again, I would have my wedding invite, please no Apple Watches. And that's what I think of when I see an Apple Watch. It's like, I'll just wear sweatpants today. Like
Yeah,
it lacks any style at all.
It's like the athleisure choice, right, of watches.
It's like nothing says I've given up like wearing an Apple Watch.
Some watch brand's going to take that as their new tagline, you know.
And I think what Garmin did so well is that with their Phoenix, which I think is what this is, which has like an aluminum, it has to be aluminum, an aluminum case, is like this is an elegant watch. Like from a distance, like, you know, these two watches, if I move my hands fast enough, like they sort of represent the same thing on your wrist, which is like a classic, bulky, heavy, round watch. And I really love that. The only reason I don't wear this every day is like you have to charge this every couple of weeks or something.
That doesn't seem like a good formula for
I'm
you.
not going to remember that.
Yeah,
So I don't, but when I did wear a running watch all day, every day, this was it. And this is a little interesting side note, but I don't like any of the bands that were out for it, so I bought a NATO band, like this great NATO band. It's perfect for it. But the sensor can't read through the NATO band. So I cut the NATO band and then sewed it myself. That's why those stitches are so fucked up. Yeah. Great watch. I'm a big fan of that.
The old Casey
Garmin line
Neistat
of
treatment.
watches.
That's what you do.
I'm a big fan of that line of Garmin watches because it looks like a watch.
And then do you run with a Garmin watch all the time? Is that like your running watch, or what do you?
No, I don't.
You don't run with a watch?
No.
You don't even check your heart rate or anything? Like,
No. For the marathon for race day, I do. And when I'm like getting close to race day, like right now when I do a long run, I'll wear my watches so I can sort of be used to. I do an Apple Watch and a Garmin.
Like, don't you want to try to figure out what your like cardio threshold is and like
No,
your heart rate?
I got it all.
You got it. It's all feel.
I
It's all
run
feel at this
my
point.
daily runs, like this morning, every day. I just have my phone, so I'm listening to an audiobook or something, and that tracks enough. But my heart rate and all those other metrics, like, no, I'm good there. I know I can feel the heart rate.
All right.
Yeah.
One more watch in here, and then I want to also talk about something you picked up today, which I think is a cool story as well.
Yeah, so like this is a Shinola watch, and this was a gift. And Shinola, like I'm a big fan of the company and sort of the history of the company.
Yeah, right down the road from me in Detroit.
Yeah, a Detroit native who sort of saw all of these skilled craftsmen, these skilled people that lost their ability to make a living as the industry left Detroit. So he thought he would start a company. This is the founder of Shinola also started the Fossil Watch Company, which he sold for a whole bunch of money, and then rolled that into starting Shinola. So the idea that these are assembled in the United States and designed in the United States and done with the same skilled hands that once built automotive, all the cars that we built during the apex of the automotive industry here, that narrative, I love that. And a kid came to visit me whose dad works for Shinola, and he wanted to pick out a Shinola watch for me, and this was the watch that he picked out.
Oh, very nice.
So I love that, and I also think this is a really cool watch. I love how completely blacked out it is, like black hands, black face, black numbers, but it's nearly impossible to tell the time.
Legibility is not the leading feature of this watch. But
no, but it is a very cool watch.
Especially with sunglasses. I'm sure that is nearly impossible.
This was a gift, and yeah, I like this. So I love that I own this watch, but this also falls into the category of things that I own that I never really wear. Mm-hmm. But it's a cool watch, a very cool watch.
Now, speaking of cool watches, maybe as a close, do you want to share us a little bit more? Because we just finished up another video, which we know probably people that are watching have seen, but maybe those that have not. You picked out a new watch today.
So
you want to
we're
share
here, what's this place called?
Carrot & Co.
Which has the most amazing selection of watches. And we spent an hour downstairs with the owner of the place going through all of the amazing watches so I could buy a watch. And I wasn't finding anything that landed until I was shown this majestic piece of technology. And this watch, one, beyond being fantastically elegant and made in Japan and just an amazing overall watch, you can lift the face up like that. This isn't called the face, is
So it would be the crystal and you have like a bezel there. So it's like a bezel.
You lift the crystal and the bezel up, and it's made for people that are visually impaired. So for blind people, they can feel what time it is. And I think for me, beyond the coolness of that, the main reason why I struggle with all of my watches short of these cheap plastic ones is because one of my rules in life is you never miss a moment of daylight. So I never go to sleep before it's dark, and I never wake up before the sun comes up. So it's always, when I wake up, it's always dark out, always. And I can't tell what time it is. And I don't like reaching for my phone. It's too much of a blast of light. So like my faded Indiglo on this, which barely works, is just enough. Like, look,
your backlight's pretty much gone.
It's almost toast. Mm-hmm. So the idea that without opening my eyes, I could just feel what time it is on my watch, this is just pure elegance and utility.
And I loved how we were bouncing around to all these different brands, and it was a tough one, to be honest. I've done this a lot, and it was a journey to get to this watch, and we arrived at maybe the least expensive watch in the entire store. But that's not what it's about, clearly, right?
Look, what did I say before? You can buy nice things, but you can't buy style.
Yeah, that watch is sweet.
It's so good.
It's so cool.
This is like my new favorite thing, by the way.
You should put it on.
I'm gonna put it on right now.
Yeah. You just got it like 30 minutes ago. You should enjoy it.
Yeah, until this is broken, this will be my new main watch. Yeah.
And then you're gonna have to keep us posted on what Candace thinks of that one. Because originally the objective was to get a watch for Candace today.
We failed miserably.
We did. I was ready to try, but I just felt like I was just put at a stop immediately because it was just like a fleeting idea.
Look, it's on me. I know what I'm up against. This is like we're standing outside the castle, the dragon is in there, and I'm like, look, this is when we need to just put down our swords and run, because that dragon is just going to eat us alive. I've been married to that dragon for a decade plus. She's wonderful. I love her to death, but maybe the hardest person to shop for. And a watch is a very hard thing to buy for someone.
It is. It's a personal journey, and I think that's like the fun aspect of all of this. Like, this is showing a bit of Casey. This is who you are, and these small little objects, they don't really mean anything until we decide to allow them to have meaning through what we decide to do on a day-to-day basis. And with that, I really wanted to say thank you, Casey. I mean, this was a lot of fun.
I have a note that I wanted to bring up.
Please.
Which is, if I could own any watch in the world.
Yes.
Somebody asked me this, and I have an answer because I've been obsessed about this forever. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I don't own this watch, you can get them for less expensive than one of these fancy watches, I think maybe, is I'm not responsible enough to own this yet. but I want a Rolex trench watch that was made between like 1916 and 1919. Specifically, not later and not earlier. Because at that time, Rolex was the only company making watches for the British. And the trench watches were only made for one reason. And that was so officers would know to synchronize times to go over the top. Which means if you get a trench watch from that vintage, most likely it was worn by an officer going over the top. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't still exist today. And the idea of being able to own that, just to hold it and look at it, is something that I own. I own a Roman bronze cuff. They're not that expensive. They're pretty common. It's a couple $100. But it's 2,000 years old, maybe older. And it was found in southern Germany, which means the only reason why it got there is because they were up there fighting. And I own this piece of metal, and it like came in a case with a certificate of authenticity and the dating on it. And I smashed the case open, took it out, and it just sits on my desk. Because when I hold that, I just like imagine the soldier, the centurion wearing that 2,000 years ago. So to own that trench watch and know that like, even if it wasn't worn by an officer, that's what this was specifically built for. The romance of that is something I've always fixated on. But I can't buy it yet because I will lose it or break it. I'm not, but someday, Teddy.
I believe in you. I think this is a turning point. We're gonna get you a watchmaker. We're gonna get some battery changes for you. I see the vision for the new era of watch collecting for Casey Neistat.
It wouldn't happen if I wasn't here.
Well, sir,
Thanks
absolute
for
pleasure.
having me. Yeah,
of course. Thank you.